Hey everybody, hope you're all doing well. Coming at you today with something a little new. It's the first video on the Benchmark Appraisal Group YouTube channel. Over the past few months, we've been trying to figure out new ways of trying to get information out to everybody, especially those who work remotely. And we decided that a YouTube channel is probably a good format. What's going to happen is every time that there's a new policy or something new that we want to share, I'm going to try to make one of these little tutorial videos. Hopefully they won't be too long, and we can go ahead and share that information and also have it recorded in the library so you can watch it on demand or whenever you feel fit. Today's video is going to be about how I personally keep a digital work file. I know during our call yesterday, Tony was mentioning that all of our work files are going to go from being normal paper files like we used to have now into just keeping everything into a digital folder. So I just quickly wanted to share how I do that. Ultimately the way that you want to figure out how you want to keep your work files is up to you, but you just got to make sure that you stay within the in compliance with USPAP. Just make sure you have everything you need to have within that work file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen here, and there we go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you kind of how I've been doing this for a while. I usually keep everything first on my desktop. One, it creates a backup copy for everything that I do. Also, it makes it so I don't have to be dependent on working on the server remotely until I actually have to submit the job. So basically what I have here is on my documents on my PC, I have a benchmark folder. I have a bunch of different folders for just different work-related stuff. And one of them is my current assignments folder. And another one is my Workfile Archives. And if you look in the Workfile Archives, it looks a lot like the files that you'll see on the S drive. And I have it broken down personally for commercial jobs by year. And then when you go into a year, then I have it broken down by property type. And then when you go into property type, then it's broken down by address. If you're doing residential jobs and locations more important and you want to do it by year and then by county and then by whether it's a single family or whether it's a multifamily, you could do it that way. Whatever's easiest for you in order to try to retrieve that information, because that's one of the reasons why we need to keep these work files, is because if you're going to use something as a template, you want to use whatever method is going to be easier for you to go back and get that information at a later time in your archives. What's going to happen is I'm going to go through the process now of starting a new assignment. If I go into my current assignments folder and I start a new assignment, you could just right click and go down to new and go down the folder. And I'll always address this as the address of the property. So let's say we're doing 200 South Clinton Street. Okay. So we got our new file for 200 South Clinton Street. I'll double click on there. And I usually put a couple subfolders in here just so it doesn't get too cluttered. My first one will be the subject photos, which I would put in there from my camera once I am done the property inspection. Another folder I will put in there might be information from owner. Okay, so if you're provided any information, I'll put that in there. And then the rest of the space down here is probably going to get filled with the normal stuff that you normally put into a paperwork file. Certain ways that you're going to be able to put information in there. One is through an attachment from an email, something that might have been sent to you, to something that you're going to print online, or three, something that you might snip online. So first way we do that is, let's go into our email, and let's say you receive an email that says that you have a new assignment, and attached to that email is a copy of an engagement letter. Easiest way to take that engagement letter and put it into your work file is just by just clicking on the engagement letter, holding down on the click button, dragging it over into your work file and dropping it. There you go. Now the engagement letter is actually is in your work file now. That works for an email that you get from in the office, or if you get information from the borrower, building plans, rent rolls, all that other stuff. You just click on the attachment, drag it over, and drop it in your work file. And it's as simple as that. Your next item might be getting information off of Bright MLS or CoStar. You can do your normal search to get your property information, and on Bright it's really easy. You can actually just go to print, and instead of hitting print to print it to a piece of paper off the printer, you just go to print to PDF. Hit print to PDF. It'll actually generate the PDF for you already, and then all you have to do is right click. You can either print it or you can go to save as. Save as is probably the easiest way of doing that, because then you can just go through here, find your folder, go to desktop, benchmark, current assignments, Clinton Street, and I'll put that as Bright MLS property record card. There. Another way of doing that, if it doesn't let you save it as a PDF, you can always print it as if you were going to print it to a printer. But when you select your printer, it usually always gives you an option either as a save PDF or Microsoft to PDF. Either one of those will work. So you just go to there, and then when you hit print, instead of it going to a printer, it's going to give you that same save as option again, where you select which folder you want to put it in, you hit save, and then it will save it in there as a PDF. Finally, if you're looking at some information online, and let's say you want to use this sketch in your report instead of printing out this page to a piece of paper, you can always just hit your little snipping tool, snip a photo of it, right click, save as, and put it in your work file. And just put it in there. And we'll put it in there as a JPEG or a picture. I'll go Bucks Co. sketch. There you go. So now when you go back into your work file, all that information is already in there now. So it's an easy way, quick way to be able to put everything in your work file, stay USPAP compliant, keep everything in there, and not have to use one scrap of paper. Next, in your work file, you may want to put your templates or the information that you have from a prior job. Say this is an office building, and I know a template I want to use, so I go back into my work file. So what I'll do is I'll go to File, Open New Window, put this over to the side, click on here, go into my Workfile Archives. Maybe I did something recently, go into Office, go through here and say, all right, Interchange Road, that's the one I want to use. So I go back into this work file, and this shows everything that I had from this job. And maybe I like the way that the report was laid out, so I can select the report. Or you can go into the J drive and get the final formatted copy of that report, copy it and paste it into your work file. And then a lot of times what I'll do, so I might use the report, and then I will hold down the control button, and maybe I'll use the grids. And sometimes there might be this job I did a DCF on, so the DCF information is in there. If I had a regular valuation analysis from like at value or something in there, I will have that grid in there as well. So you can hold down the control button, pick whichever items you want, and you click on there, drag it over. Right there you'll see where it says move to South Clinton Street. You don't want to do that. While you're still clicking the button, you hold the control button and it turns to copy. copy that in there. You can go ahead and right click, rename, and then maybe I'll rename the report, appraisal report, 200 South Clinton Street. And then do the same thing with the grids. Right click, rename, grids, 200 South Clinton. There we go. So now you have your the report template for there already in there, and then you already have all the grids that you have within that report already in that work file as well. And then what you can do is once you're finished with the assignment and you have your full completed work file, you can always go back. You can right click on the file. You can copy the entire file. You can go onto the server. You can go into the folder in the S drive and paste that in there. And then what that'll do is that'll move that. That'll copy the entire work file onto the S drive, and then you can go ahead and then that's how I would basically submit that entire work file once the job's completed. All right. Well, hopefully that was a good little example of how to keep a digital work file. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask. Otherwise, I hope you found this informative, and hope you guys all have a great day.